Welcome to the Honest Designers Show, your transparent look into life as a modern designer. My name's Tom Ross and I'm the founder at designcuts.com, and this week I'm joined by my fellow Brit and hand lettering expert, Ian Barnard, and American retro design expert, Dustin Lee. I'm afraid Lisa is still off, but she will definitely be back next week. This week, we continue our list of social media ideas for designers. We hope that these ideas will get your feed looking better than ever and allow you to build a really engaged audience around your creative work. So without further ado, let's get into the show. So my next one, I would say, get your followers, if you hopefully have enough of them, to participate in a challenge and potentially turn this into a mini series. So, for example, there's a YouTuber, don't know if you guys know him, called Peter McKinnon, who teaches a lot of videography and stuff like that. And he did a tutorial on how to create effective B-roll and kind of cut it together. And then he said to his subscribers, go and create your own clips and I'll showcase some of them. And then I think the next week he did a video like really geeking out over how amazing some of the submissions were and showed them on his channel. So they got leverage to his big audience and he kind of analyzed what he liked about them so much and that kind of thing. So you could do that so easily as a creative. You could say, hey guys, I'd love to see you all do this style of illustration this week, or why don't you do a self-portrait this week or something like that. And then you show it off on your channel as like, look how awesome and talented my followers are. So that's kind of definitely one thing. Another one in that riff is kind of share inspiring work from people you know. So they don't have to be following you, but it could be people that you follow, where it's like when people are saying, here's who I'm currently reading, similar thing, here's who I'm currently being inspired by. You follow me, I inspire you on some level, but here's the people that continue to inspire me, and I wanted to share their awesomeness with you. And finally, I would say, if you're doing cool stuff, nice stuff for your followers, which you absolutely should be, surprising them, delighting them, rewarding them, giving them freebies or coupons or whatever, just for being amazing. If you do that stuff, don't be afraid to share the fact you're doing it publicly, because otherwise only that one person's going to know. So, for example, we've got at Design Cuts, we've got Design Cutter of the Week, where we say this is like an awesome, engaged community member and they win cool stuff. Rather than just telling that person, we publicly shout about it to everyone else. It's like, oh, congratulations, that's awesome. And that kind of has a few benefits. So it's like we can publicly celebrate, everyone else gets involved, but also it's effectively you're kind of doing like PR for yourself, being like, well, we like treating people this way. And so we're going to shout about the fact that we're doing it.
I just realized that I didn't have the response ready when you were done saying something, and then it was silence again. Ian, why aren't you coming in here? These are good ideas.
I'm just gonna remain mute after whoever goes next.
No, because it's
no.
These are all good.
Fine.
These are all good. Like the here's who I'm currently inspired by. I love that idea. It's a great way to network with someone and like share something new. My bad. Apologize.
She'll go anyway, Dustin.
Hey, at least I'm apologizing. Ian's not even saying anything. He's just like, yep, I don't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. Get nothing. Blood from a stone. Right, over to you, Dustin.
All right, I got a simple but important one, and it applies almost to everything that everyone's talked about, is to always ask for something in the end of the post or have a reason for it, in the sense that, so if you say share a favorite color or font and you share that, like a great way to end that is to say, what about you? Like, what's your current favorite font or color, right? So you're initiating the interaction back. Or they use Instagram story features to ask me anything, someone had mentioned. That's asking, having a call to action at the end for an interaction. Error messages in real life. That's something that kind of begs for a response back where someone's like, oh my gosh, I totally understand that, I relate, So I think just having a call to action, having something you're asking people to do at the end, doesn't have to be go buy this or go look at this. Just share your thoughts or your experience with this.
Mm-hmm. And it can be as simple as comment below your thoughts.
That's
it's
right.
Giving that call to action, right? That's what you're saying.
Yep. And I'll do two. I'm trying to carry my weight a little bit here. Something that I have been trying to do is escalate the social media. So this is a common tactic, is to say you start with, like, maybe you make a little series of posts, like Ian had mentioned, put a little tip on Twitter, right? Like every day. Put it on Twitter. If you get one that gets like a ton of likes, then maybe like you write a post about it, or maybe he makes a YouTube video about it, or maybe then he makes an Instagram story about it. And the Instagram story does good, then maybe he expands it to a YouTube video. So you could start with a Twitter, use it as a beta testing, so to speak, to find out, to gauge which is the most popular piece of content, and then expand into bigger investment platforms in terms of time and effort.
Mm-hmm. That is actually a really genius idea. So what Ian said, yeah, if he's doing top 10 Procreate tips, maybe he actually shared 20 or 30, but clearly you would get the 10 which perform best, and therefore it's more likely to perform better as a compilation video. That's smart, man. Okay, so we're going back to lovely Lisa Glanz's tips here. And her next tip is share your favorite tools. So your favorite pen, sketchbook, the stuff which you work with day to day. And this is actually really popular. It's always the most popular post I've seen with videographers and photographers, where they share their kit to the point where a lot of them do it.
What's in my bag? Oh, you can do that for designer. What's in my bag?
Exactly. Yeah. What's in my bag? And actually, on that, you can share your desktop sometimes. What does my desktop look like? It's quite good insight for people. But the what's in my bag thing, photographers, if they have a decent audience, they actually make a killing on affiliate commission, because they share a bunch of affiliate links for Amazon where people can go and buy the same camera and lens and stuff as them. And they do really well because people are constantly wanting to emulate them because they think it's going to make them have their style, even though they realize, yeah, it's not the gear, it's the talent and the practice. But yeah, I guarantee, Ian, if you're like, here's my setup, or Lisa was like, here's the stuff I draw with, people will go and buy that because they want to.
Actually, riffing off that, a post that did really, really well was me taking a photo of my IKEA stationery shelves, that what pen I had in each pot and how I'd organised it and stuff like that. And I got people so many comments, and people going, "Oh wow, thank you for posting that. It's what it's called. So yeah, just simple things like that, because people might, like how you've spaced your, you might have a hack for like storing paintbrushes, or for desk tidy stuff, things that help you to be more proactive or productive in your work.
Yeah, so Lisa's next point here is share your favorite apps that help you. She actually wrote mobile app, but it could be desktop app, whatever. And again, if people look up to you and follow you, they're going to want to try the stuff which you try. We've done it on the show, right? Quite often Dustin's like, hey, I've got this time-saving app or whatever. And I'm like, oh, I need to check that out. People appreciate the recommendation. You're sharing what helps you. Lisa also put, I guess this is particularly relevant for any illustrators, but sharing what color palettes you're working on that week, because people can then go and apply that to their work. And I guess the thing there is they would feel connected to you. So if Lisa shared a color palette that she'd done for an illustration, I might go use that on a website. But the whole time I'm designing that website and sharing it with a client, I'd have Lisa in the back of my mind as the inception point for how I got there. So it's kind of just prolonging that connection with your followers. Right, back to you, Ian.
Back to me.
To me, to you. Oh, okay. Rest in peace, by the way. Oh, Barry
here's a hat. I can't remember where I saw this, but they, you could search for it, or you could do it. You just do it yourself. Is So this is sort of section rolled around business cards. But still being used. I don't really use them, but I know other people really do, especially if they're doing a lot of physical networking stuff. Clamp a load of white business cards together and get a spray can, and you can do a cool, like, you can spray it down the side, and then you get these business cards that have like a coloured outer border, or you can do like a gradient, or you can spray in gold, and you can show that as like a business card hack, because it's quite expensive to get that done printed wise, but you could just like, you could do things to like whether it's like a cutter, so, or an embosser, so you can, you know, showing like tips of how to like take your business cards to another level with simple tools,
and then put them into a compilation video. 5 tips to
yes,
take your business
sorry,
cards
all mine have like
it'd be like five tips to do it on the cheap kind of thing. I'd watch that.
Yeah, or do a series of really nicely designed pun cards. So they're like business cards, but they're like subtly, they have a pun in them. So it's like someone, like the job they do or the name they've got. So it's just like a little laugh, you know. It's not like, if it's, you know, you got the nice design, but if people like read it, it might be like James Ladder, and he does window cleaning. You know, but that's not a funny pun, but something funny. Find out some puns, put them into someone's name, you know, and then so you have 2 things. You have something that looks nice, and you have something that's funny. If you know, when you like, you change your logo and then you've got like 1,000,001 business cards left over, and you could think of some alternative uses for business cards other than using them for business cards. You can come up with some creative
or bookmarks,
creative ways.
That would be quite funny actually. Be like, not getting enough work, use it as a bookmark, use it as this, use it as that. Okay, so I got a few here. Do your art, creativity, or design work in an unusual setting. For example, Ian did his lettering on an icy table. So you're taking it non-digital in many cases and just doing it in a surprising setting that makes people take notice. I would also say participate in viral trends, but find a relevant in around the sphere of what your creative work is. So, you know, the things I mean, where it's like the Harlem Shake and just all kinds of stuff like that, where it sweeps the nation, or like the dress, where is it like blue or is it gold, or the Yanni and Laurel thing, like all these viral trends. There's normally a creative way which you can make that relevant to your work. Ian might do it where he does like letters like Yanni and Laurel, and it's like, which one do you see, or something. And they often engage, they over-index with how they engage because it's at the forefront of people's mind. And if you do it in a funny way and kind of riff on that trend, people resonate with that and generally find it quite entertaining.
Actually, riffing off that, you know, Fortnite, the online game, and all these dances have come from it. You know, the sort of celebration dances, that you could do that, but in the setting of like a client meeting, or you know, these different things.
Yeah, when you land the client,
like, they're like doing this sort of, you know, the one where they're sort of like they're throwing the arm down, and but they're in like, or, you know, things where you wouldn't do that. Like, you know, you set up like a conference meeting, and all of a sudden you just get up and start dancing because they said that they're going to give you the job or something like that. And then you just do it.
I like it, and obviously put it in the description. But also, it's so powerful. If you're listening to this, I'm sure you've seen it, where you get the bars, like the strips, either at the top or above and below a video.
Oh yeah.
Like with the memes. So if you got a strip on top of the video, let's say it's something like that, and the strip says, when you land the client project, or when the client approves your quote, or something like that. And then it's got the funny dance, or like people going crazy in the video. It instantly gives it context without them having to trawl through a small text description to get what it's actually about.
Yeah.
Okay, I got two for you guys.
Oh, hold on. I got one more because Ian jumped in. So I would say participate in also national holidays and events like Christmas, New Year, even stuff like Inktober and stuff. So that's similar to like the viral trends, but not so much of a trend as it is just something which everyone's thinking about. You know, the freaking Super Bowl, whatever it might be.
Actually, Good Type is a really good one. They have Good Type Tuesdays, and you can get your work features on there if it's because they have a theme for that day, and and they share the work that really they think looks good. So that's a good way.
So it's
to
like
get,
trending hashtags. Same thing you can look out for what's trending on Twitter. You're basically jumping on the bandwagon. You're getting wider awareness because there's a lot of buzz around a certain concept. So you're just jumping on that.
Yeah. People suffer with knowing what to come up with, words to use. So if you give people a list of a month's worth of, here's some words to letter or illustrate or design a website around, that's quite helpful. Giving people, you want to think value, always think value. How is this going to help someone? Or, why is this someone going to look at this?
For sure. Cool. Dustin, have you got 3 up your sleeve?
I have 2 up my sleeve, and we'll see if one comes to my brain for the third. So the first I learned when I was doing my daily drawing is show how you make stuff. So this is built in with Procreate. So with Procreate, that doesn't count in my opinion. Lots of times when you draw with Procreate, right, it records the whole thing, and then you can see how they made it, and it swipes across, then it shows them drawing it. But I was using Illustrator, and I was putting these illustrations up, and people would be like, well, how'd you make it? Will you show a video? And so I started recording my screen as I worked, and then I would post that next to it. And people loved it. It increased the engagement, increased the likes, because it's similar to that thing you find on Dribbble or Instagram where someone's like, what font is that? This person's answering every question that anyone asks, and then when they ask what font it is, all of a sudden it's radio silence. No one wants to share the font they use. It's like a secret. So when you share, I think the actual video of it, that makes it more useful to people. Just sharing your work and being like, this is pretty badass, isn't it? I don't think that's as cool. So that's one. The second is an idea that I saw someone doing that was brilliant, was she wanted to help support other people in the community. So she found products from small independent makers, and she would do her daily drawings, and she would do them on things that she thought were neat that other people were doing. So this one girl was making handcrafted chocolates, I believe, and donating some of the money to the chocolate farmer, the cocoa bean, whatever farmer. And so she drew their chocolate bar and then told the story of it in her post. And then the next day was someone that was knitting stuff, and she drew the yarn and then told the story of the post. So in that way, she's linking to them. They're sharing it. They're thankful for it, putting good vibes out. Thought that was super cool too.
That's awesome. So you actually just took a bunch of mine, which is great. Great minds think alike and all that. But my one after that is take requests for what to design based around personal stuff that people would love, and then do as many as you can, even if it's just one, and publicly share that. So even if your thing isn't picked, you have fun kind of participating and suggesting stuff. For example, if it's Valentine's Day and people are saying, oh, please, do an illustration around this for my girlfriend or my boyfriend, or hand letter this for my spouse, you go and pick the one, and they get this gorgeous piece of work, which they might not be able to afford if you charged for your regular rate kind of thing. But because you're doing it as a bit of content, it goes out there for free. And then you've had maybe hundreds of people all kind of tuning in, especially if it's a regular thing, because they're like, oh, pick me, I might stand a chance. So they all have fun getting involved. And the person who gets it, it blows their mind. Imagine that on Valentine's Day, where it's look at this unbelievable custom piece of art, and I got it for free just through engaging with this guy's content.
Yep.
So that would be cool.
Love that.
I think we kind of touched on this, but create a mini series that followers can regularly tune into. That can be really powerful. So if it's something like Quick Tip Tuesday or something like that, then the very fact it's every single Tuesday, they're actually looking forward to it quite often, and they just know they need to be there every Tuesday, and they know what to expect. And also do a post where you try out a new skill. So you could call it something like back to beginner, something like that. So imagine Lisa, right? She's an amazing illustrator. Imagine her trying a new creative skill, which she'd never done in her life. She probably would not be excellent at it to start with, although maybe knowing Lisa, she's a talented lady. But it would be showing that she was human through kind of trying it from scratch.
Yes.
You know, like you guys did that a bit where, like Dustin, you hadn't really illustrated, but you started doing it. And I think people appreciate that because it's like he could stay in his comfort zone and do the stuff which he rocks at, but he's going to put himself out there trying something new, which is kind of brave.
Yeah. Same with the latte art. It's just so good to see people fail, especially when you feel like you admire them so much. It just feels good to watch them fall.
Just
yeah,
tear them down.
You need to show a bit of humility. That
it's powerful stuff. Okay, Dustin, I think it's you now.
No, he just been, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he had. Oh, hold on, that was meant to be Lisa's. Sorry, Lisa. All right, let me just do a couple of Lisa's then. Don't want to leave Lisa out. So, yeah, she said share your side interests, especially if it's creative. So, like if you like making jewelry or handmade baskets or baking cakes, especially in the shape of the Pentaulian, that can be really powerful stuff. Recycle some of your old posts, especially if they had a great response. This is a really good tip. So if it's something from 3 years ago that blew up, most people won't share that, whether it's because of the algorithm or they didn't know about you 3 years ago. There's no harm in reposting that. Repost stuff from clients if they posted something you were a part of. So it's kind of celebrating if a client is raving about it, like, oh, look at our new design on the side of our company van or whatever, repost it from their profile. That actually gives it more context than if you just shared the design that you'd been working on. She also said do funny doodles and comics showing the life daily of a designer. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could even be a stick man, but you're focusing more on the funny aspects that are relatable for other designers. And so I'm kind of tearing through these, but she's got a lot of good ones here. Also images of great designs you see in the world around you. So whenever you see something you like, it's like that's a great bit of packaging or a great label or a billboard or anything like that. Good stuff from Lisa. Right, back to you, Ian. I reckon if we tear through these, it's a bit of a long episode. We are, but we're nearly there. We're so nearly there. So let's maybe get the tips out into the world.
I had a whole thing about just doing stuff with Lego, like building, like doing a mock-up of a website with Lego pieces, you know, like a homepage for a website. And just sort of like, or just doing like, you know, finding one of your designs and converting it into Lego, and just sort of, or just show it in some other context. You know, build like what I found in the past has worked well is using children's toys or children's tools or craft things in an adult context. Like when I drew with an aqua doodle set, or even with the fact that Crayolas do so well, is using you going into the sort of kids supply area and using some of those for a professional, or it looks like a professional product. You know, you just make it up yourself, but you know, taking that out of the context of it should be for children and making it into the contents of it. It's like for an adult audience or commercial audience.
I like it. Nice. What else you got?
Another one I've seen that I love. I see this in Portland all the time is creating design for fictional purposes. So for instance, if you go into Portland, a lot of times you'll see missing cat or dog posters and they're just ridiculous, or like a missing bike or something like that. And it's like this horribly drawn bike that like there's no way you'd be able to identify it, and the story behind it makes no sense. And you realize that like it's been made purely, I don't even know, just like randomly to like fit into like the landscape of the city. But I've seen people share that online, and I love when people share random stuff like that online where they made something like that looks like it's camouflaged as just a normal human thing. Does that make sense? I don't know if that made sense.
It's like, have you seen that one like where it's like an advert for a graphic designer, but it's like done really badly?
Yes, exactly.
Like on a massive billboard.
Or like making up like the real famous one, but you could riff off this is like, they have those parking tickets that are not real parking tickets where you can like write in what the person did that was offensive to you and then leave it on their car. So it looks like a real parking ticket and you put it on and it alarms the person when they see it. And then it has something like, thanks for
here's parking, a coupon for Retro Supply.
Thanks for taking up 2 spots, right? Like in the parking lot. But like you could like do all sorts of things like that with like yourself. Like make fake
here's
stuff.
One free lesson for parking.
Yeah.
Just some real like douche move.
Exactly, yeah. Or like, I don't even know. Fake coupons for the store for like a free product and then just like leave them all over the store and like take some photos and share it or videos.
This is like evil genius. Just prank wars. Okay, so I've got 2 left, and then I've got 3 or 4 of Lisa's, which I love. So I'm kind of picking out my favorites here, just so we finish somewhat on time. But I would say play with different mediums, different styles of post around the same content. So take this episode, for example. This is going to go out as a full-length podcast and a full-length video show. But also we could take each of the tips and put that into a PDF or an ebook and put that out to people. And we could take individual tips, some of the best, and make them quote cards on Instagram. So just always think about how you can recycle and get more legs and leverage out of the content which you've got. Next one is review your followers' work in video form. I did this where I said to people, I will review your website. Sent that out, got a bunch of suggestions in, people saying, please review my site. And then I would literally film my laptop screen and scroll through it with the other hand and just critique it and be like, here's what I would do better. Here's what I like. Here's how to improve it. And people really responded well to that. So you could do that with like lettering. Like imagine getting a lettering critique from Ian. If you're a beginner, that'd be insanely helpful, or an illustration.
I was thinking of that as an actual YouTube video of doing like
you should
a critique session.
Yeah, if you did an Instagram story and said, send me your lettering and I'll critique it in a YouTube video, people go insane for that, I swear, and they jump all over it, and it will create so much goodwill that you are putting that out into the world. So just digging out some of my favorite ones from Lisa here. We've kind of touched on this, but she highlighted, show your mistakes. People love seeing that you're human. So if you're doing a time-lapse video or whatever, if you completely mess up, don't hide that from the world. Share it, because people appreciate that stuff. I also love this one. She said, share old work and compare it to your relevant recent piece. This stuff does really, really well, especially on Instagram. So I see it often with artists. It might be like they've drawn an eye and then they have a year above it. So it'll be like 2007, here's my eye I drew and it sucks. 2018, and it's like an amazing realistic eye, and just seeing the 2 side by side is really inspiring. Triggers a lot of emotions, because you think, oh wow, well, if they've improved that much in 11 short years or 4 years or whatever it might be, I can do that too. I would say she also said, share common mistakes that new designers, letterers and illustrators make and how to avoid or fix them is a really good one. And also share some of the deep design theory stuff, like proportion, negative space, helping the eye to move around a design or a page, all of that core stuff, which often gets glossed over by beginners. Try and show them the ropes. So that's all of mine. I'm running dry. How about you guys?
I was going to riff.
I was running dry from the very beginning.
What was the one you just said just before the current one? The before and after. You could do. You could show the before and after of how you've changed the design to show what it looked like. Because sometimes just showing here's the design, you're like, well, that's good. But if you show it in context of what it used to look like, the company used to look like this, now it looks like that. It's sometimes quite good. You say, well, there is a difference, being able to see that contrast.
That kind of reminds me of something similar that I love. Is sometimes you'll see people get kids drawings, like their kids drawings, and turn them into like really great looking ones. Like a kid will draw a monster, a robot, and then like their parent's a designer and will like show, here's my kids and here's me transforming it into like a really awesome illustration based off it. I love that.
Really cool. Yeah. And again, that's so personal, because not everyone has kids. Not everyone would want to do that, but you're all about your kids, Dustin, and you're a designer. So I could totally see you doing that, for example. So again, pick and choose what really fits for you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Nice. Anything else, Ian? You got any left in the tank?
Don't encourage him.
We'll be here all night.
I feel like we could do like 3 episodes.
Here you go. Designer accidents. You know, there's like loads of those sites where it's just like people falling over. And so you could. I'm just trying to think what happens to designers that.
It's not exactly Charlie Chaplin, I'm afraid. It's not hilarious slapstick. It'll be like repetitive strain injury on your wrist or something.
Yeah, or I'm just trying to think. You know, when
spill burning coffee all over your Wacom tablet.
Yeah.
I think anytime you're able to do something that everyone has been wondering about, it's always fascinating. That's why I feel like, like you'll see videos where people destroy iPhones or something like that. We love seeing that because we can't destroy our iPhone, but we're like, but I always have wondered if I got a super powerful magnet and like dragged it across the front of my iPhone, what would happen?
It's like the wonder, right? Like there's a channel where they squish stuff with a hydraulic press. That's the one, and it's so fascinating to watch. They do it in slow motion, and you're like, I wonder what's inside that. And in fact, there's another channel which literally shows what's inside stuff. They're like cut open baseballs and stuff like that. So I can't even think off the top of my head, but there has to be something you can do design wise with that. It's kind of lame, but I actually like seeing it in people's source files. So there was a stock photography website who I partnered with years ago, and they would actually provide the source files from these unbelievable photo manipulations, which were massive files, super high res. They had like hundreds of layers, and to go in as an aspiring photo manipulator and actually see exactly how they built the thing layer by layer and play around with each layer opacity and tweak it myself was something which was so rare to be able to do. It was really eye-opening. So, that could be one, sharing your source files with the world freely.
Actually, talking about that, in a sort of comedy sense, you could do the thing like, it's already been done, so probably with it, but like you have like 5 different files, and one's called final.eps, and next one's called final.eps, and then final version 1.eps. And so like that, think of things that you do because you're lazy, and there's probably a ton of other people who do it as well. So like for me, it's like I always save stuff to the desktop, and now my desktop is just absolutely covered. And how you could try and turn that into some quirky, funny thing,
or leave Illustrator open as long as possible with like 13 untitled documents. And just like putting it off.
We actually did that. Yeah. We did that as a meme, and it got shared thousands of times.
Yeah,
because everyone could relate to the final thing. Yeah. And I think the 2 we've had that went really viral, and I'm talking like millions. I think one had 23 million, one had like 10 million or something views. It was nuts. One was swiping on a book instead of an iPad, and kind of
you could do a whole series on that.
Yeah, 100%.
Undo in real life.
What's the other? Oh yeah, the other one was fonts like change the context of everything, because one said like I don't know, you're everything to me, or some kind of romantic message in like a swirly nice font. The other one had it in like horror movie like blood splatter font. And it had the 2 side by side and had a heading saying fonts like change everything, and it literally got like millions of people seeing it. It blew up.
You need stuff. I suppose you want this sort of like happy medium between, because that relates to everyone, because everyone can choose fonts on like Word and stuff like that. So you can either go specific to the design market, or you can go open it up and sort of like just use stuff that other people will know, like the Comic Sans one and Papyrus and stuff like that. The fonts at a party could work if you use ones that everyone knew about. Here's
one. Sorry, it just popped in my head. If it was like Comic Sans or Papyrus, you could do if there was an existing video montage of an eclipse moving, it could be like those 2 fonts coming together with like the shadow going over the sun, like the moon going over the sun, and then someone's being like blinded and like losing their vision by the coming together of these hideous fonts. It's like an eclipse of terrible fonts. Anyway, sorry, go on, mate.
For a while, this is another thing. I never thought of using this as a real social media thing, but it probably could have been. I was doing it not thinking about really promoting it, but for a while I was making a collection of photos of like massage parlors and stuff that use papyrus. So like you could make a collection of like something like that, like papyrus in the wild, or like how many masseuse nail salons can I find with papyrus? Because they're everywhere, and I started taking pictures because I was like, this is insane.
You know what that is? That's a Tumblr. There are so many genius little Tumblr blogs hidden away, and they get a funny domain name, so it would be like literally like how many nail salons use papyrus.com. And
Papyrus City.
Like, yeah, like that kind of thing would get shared so much within the design community.
You could try, like, I know that someone's done like replaced all the main logos like Coca-Cola and Apple and Windows with Comic Sans.
Yeah,
so you want to find something that's really familiar. So those logos, like someone did one where they hand lettered, like brush script every logo, like the Google logo and stuff like that. So take something that's really familiar to people and put it into a different context, or take out the thing that makes it, or put something in that you can still tell the logos, but it's just like it wouldn't ever happen sort of thing. So like maybe do the logos, but then you add like drop shadow, beveled emboss. What would happen if you beveled and embossed all the logos? You know, all like if you added every single Photoshop filter or Photoshop layer style to like the Coca-Cola logo. So you had like this glow and the bevel and the inner glow, the
gradient fill.
Yeah,
or like the little bubble pattern that gets default pattern, the most hideous thing ever.
Or like
you know, make it readable but make it hideous.
I like these things where you could create an ongoing series that it frees up so much mental space to have to reinvent the wheel every time you're trying to come up with something. Like, there's so much spec work out there, right? And designers hate the idea of doing spec work. And how hilarious would it be if like you were just like this spec work troll that constantly went around making like horrible spec work, like proposing it, and you just documented it and shared it, like my latest spec work, and it's just like a piece of.
And literally, specworktroll.com.
Yes.
Like, someone please do that if there's a really annoying listener.
You can just mark it even on Twitter and be like a little troll, like, right, emoji, and then be like, my latest, like, spec work. And just show a picture of it and where, like, you post it.
Ian, riffing on what you said with the filters, you know, where you get a speedometer, you get it in, like, the engine room or something where it goes, like, up to red and it's, like, you know, at breaking point kind of thing. You could do a little video where you take really good work, either something like the Coca-Cola logo or, I don't know, like a renowned designer's work. And it's like, how many filters do I have to add before it's like the most hideous thing on earth? And so with each filter, the little speedometer dial goes up a notch until it's like creaking at breaking point. It's like, right, 9 filters was the answer. This is officially the worst thing my eyes have ever witnessed.
You could go through each, like you could have a story for every filter that you add. So it gets worse and worse as you get, because you want to see what the end thing is. So they click on, you know, they keep watching.
Yeah.
How good of a Twitch channel would that be? Where you just take requests and you're like, let's make this so horrible. Or maybe like you just like, you're like, hey, like, I'll test your computer for free, or like I'm testing the latest version of Photoshop, and you just see how much you can load it up with like crappy effects until it finally just crashes.
And if I did that, I would have to do it really dry. So I'd be on my Instagram story, be like, we're going to be improving a classic here. We shall apply the classic bevel filter, followed by our old friend Inner Glow.
Treat it like an elite car review, like a new sports car, and be like, we're going to see how far we can get the latest update of this baby Photoshop to go. Mm-hmm. First, we're going to start with 3D bevels. Right, now let's add on some, I don't even know, drop
it's like what year? Well, I've seen videos for everything from like makeup to fashion hairstyles, where it will go through a montage of years. So it'll take you from like 1920 up to present day, and they have a model who keeps like, just changing into different outfits. You could do that with design, where it evolved through being like, here's what all the big trends in design were. So like we're flat design here and skeuomorphic and long drop shadow. And everyone would watch it. Because I can't remember a lot of these, so I would watch that and be like, "Oh yeah!" Like I totally forgot. Yeah.
You could do your I'm just thinking we've gone very much the way of like this is all quite like tongue in cheek. Like Lisa has been quite sensible. Ours have been quite tongue in cheek, sort of like because you might have someone who's got a really nicely created feed and they want to keep it that way. Mm-hmm. But you could do that. But then you could do like what your design stuff would look like if it was transposed into the 1950s. And you could still make it look really cool. But you're like, you could take it and like, what would a website look like in the 1950s? So you take all the fonts and you take all the imagery and you build it into like a website, or what would your business card look like, or stuff like that.
Yeah, it could be really fun in like the 1980s style.
And you can make it really nice looking, and you can maybe set up you could do like the overhead desk setup, but it's got all like you might find some stuff in the junk shop of like a radio from that era and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And I would say as well, mix and match. So pick out your favorites from these episodes and mix and match what you like. So it could be that you want to try the thing of making a design 80s and 50s and that kind of thing, but combine that with the other tip, which was to let your audience interact and drive these things forward. So maybe you do a poll saying, should I rebrand my brand as 50s or 80s? And it's like, okay, 80s, great. Now I'm going to design it.
Because it could be the case that you could go, you might like doing this retro stuff, and you go down that way and you set up a store all about retro stuff, and and then you start doing products about retro stuff, and then
who on earth would do that? Who would get so into retro stuff?
I don't know.
I'm picturing some kind of granddad in like a flat cap, usually occasional baseball cap, but
seems like an idea that is destined for failure.
Okay, so I feel like that's quite a lot of tips. I don't know if it was 100.
Well, we won't know until we go back through it again.
Yeah, we're gonna have to tally them up for sure. Nice. Well, thanks guys. We missed Lisa, but her tips were straight fire, as the kids are saying these days. And yes,
hers
I just
were
cringed
definitely
myself
consistent.
out.
Hers were consistently good, I think, and helpful.
Well, I just picked the best ones. I didn't even mention the rest.
Oh, really?
No, they were all great. Lisa's a genius. Hers were definitely more serious than ours. Ours were just silly. It's like, what if you put a monkey on a unicycle and leather on his butt cheeks or something? That's the level that we're at, I think. But yeah, I really hope people found it helpful. Look out soon. I'm going to insist that we put together some kind of PDF. I don't know if people like it, hopefully, but I just think having that resource, because I know I've had it. I know you guys have too, where you sit down and you're like, what on earth am I going to do for a post today? And you spend like an hour frustratedly trying to brainstorm. So if you just go on this list and go, yeah, I'll do number 41 today, I'm in the mood for that.
I literally wrote some down because I don't have any.
Yeah, and I think if even just reading through the list, you'll spark off other ideas. I was just thinking the other day, sometimes it's actually just, I was up in London and I saw something like on a poster, and I thought, oh, that's a clever idea. I could use an element of that in something I post or something in my work. So yeah, just reading through stuff would be awesome way to get some more ideas, other than just using that list as well.
Nice. Well, thank you both of you. We will have the lovely Lisa back next week. Absolutely. This was far too male dominated for my liking. We missed Lisa's charms.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. I hope you found it helpful, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
Bye from us. Thanks so much for listening to this final session in our social media mini-series. We hope that you found it valuable and are feeling fired up to improve your own social media channels. As always, you can find full show notes over at honestdesigners.com or find us over on iTunes or now Spotify as well by searching for The Honest Designers Show. And remember, we're also on social media if you search for Honest Designers. If today's episode helped you, it would mean so much to us if you took just a moment to leave us a quick review over on iTunes, as this is one of the absolute best ways for your fellow designers to discover the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next week right here on The Honest Designers Show.